Hello, adventurers. Welcome to part two of our ongoing series of Halls of the Idiot God, where we are slowly but surely constructing a mega dungeon. We're not recording this one live, unfortunately. We've had some internet issues, so we are pre-recording it and it should be going out. So far, let us open up our story with our overview. Um, in part one, we managed to hammer out some sort of very, I think, cool ideas. That fundamentally, the halls of the idiot god. This idiot god is a mythos-esque kind of elder god, Lovecraftian in design, and that it fundamentally needs to be awakened by draining the sanity or the minds, the intelligence of mortals. So the cultists, uh, the 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 worshippers of this idiot god, are luring into the dungeon all sorts of adventuring companies, crawlers and the like, so that they have their sanity warped. They go through terrifying experiences, and slowly their minds are broken, and their shattered minds feed the idiot god. We decided to sort of flip it as well, in the fact that our crawlers, our adventurers, um, have been lured in, and they're going to start captured in the deepest parts of the dungeon, and their challenge is to survive, and their challenge is to try and make it out, not just with their uh, physical life, but with their mind intact as best as they can. So that's what we've got so far. But before we can sort of continue, we did a sort of level thing here. So level 6 is going to be the starting point of the characters. Um, the first encounter is the introductions. The characters are lured into the halls. They need to survive. They perhaps are waking up sort of drugged, waking in darkness. They need to introduce themselves. They have no equipment, so they're going to have to salvage some items from this prison cell. I'm thinking very Saw-esque, where they might have to gather some bones, some algae, maybe capture a rat, to try and find a method of escape. But we did come up with the first uh, speed bump, as it were. The first question is, what or who are these cultists? Because this is going to be run in Shadowdark. Shadowdark has a mechanic about light, and we didn't want the cultists to be mortal or to be humanoids. We wanted them to be these mythos creatures, these strange alien aberrant beings that do not need light at all. So that is the question that I suppose we're going to answer in part two. Before we can sort of move on, we need to establish kind of the servitors of the idiot god. Who are they? What are they? And of course, because this is a level-based game, and as they progress from the lowest level to the highest level, we want the challenges to increase. So we need them to be of different types. Um, we need to have them as different challenges. Um, so we need them to either evolve or sort of kind of like a colony of ants or bees. You have different types: soldiers, workers, queens, which is quite nice. I like that sort of nod to potentially the movie franchise Alien and Aliens. Um, but first and foremost, the servitors on the 6th level. Well, we need some jailers, don't we? We need some that are responsible for imprisoning and responsible for making sure that they do not escape. So, uh, we want them to be different. We want them to be weaker than the others because we're starting at first level. And this reminds me of a nasty creature that is an infernal. I think they're called lemurs. There we go. So we can call up this here. This is from 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, obviously. I'm just making sure you can still see that. These kind of horrible blobs of flesh matter. They've got a low armor class and low hit points. Obviously, we need to modify this. They've also got resistances because these are fiends. Now, we don't want them to be fiends. We want them to be aberrations. So I think this is quite a good base for our new sort of race of creatures. And one of the great things about Fantasy Grounds is we can modify this. So we've just dragged this button down here and we've created a template of this lemur, and we can edit it. So what we're going to do is, I think we're going to use the code SD, which stands for Shadowdark. This just means that any monsters that we make, we've got the details here, and we'll be able to search for them. Now we want a name of them. So servitor. And we want them to be the lowest. So I think we just call them larvae. I don't know whether that is the correct term. Oh, let's look that up. Yeah, that's good. And very much, we're going to use this picture here that I've just shown you. But we're going to sort of change it somewhat in design. We don't have access to all of the being able to do all of our own artwork. But I kind of imagine them more larvae-like, so kind of medium size, kind of maggots. But I think they should be upright. So sort of all of their sort of little legs at the base of them, and then they're kind of standing up. Then I think with some other sort of small tentacly type, hundreds of them, like a caterpillar down the front, like little pinky boneless fingers, sort of moving forward, which I think is very nice. Now we don't have to worry about resistances here. Or any of these. We do need to modify their stats first and foremost. I think we should give them sort of quite low hit points. We'll go for 4. We will increase their armor class a touch, making it 10, I think. Oops, 0 is not good. And for Shadowdark, we just need to do chaotic. And we're going to use the word mythos creature. I think medium size is okay. We don't have move speeds here, so it will be moving near, I suppose. And then the stats of this creature. -2, -2, fairly mindless in this state. I do like the idea of perhaps just having a straight that. I don't think that they should be particularly dexterous either. So fairly low stats for these servitor larvae, but I think they should be fairly sort of numerous. They do have dark sight, so let us put dark vision. If that's what we're calling it. This is unusual, not everything has it. So I suppose this is helping us set up for the future. We don't need hellish rejuvenation. We don't want a fist, but what could be horrific? I quite like the idea of a mouth being in the stomach. So it will have a more, I think. And they are not particularly good at combat. And this will be, I'm not entirely sure whether we need to do different types of damage here. I hate that when that happens. I always do this. Let's have a look. The reason why I'm programming it into here is because I might run this via Fancy Ground, so therefore it's already programmed in +1 to hit. We'll keep the range as 5 feet, which is close, 1 target, 1d4, and we'll just change the type of damage to I haven't spelled piercing correct. Yes. And that should now do that. So when we do that, we can do the 1d4. So I mean that's got our thing. I also like the fact that let's do these traits. The lock on the door. Yeah, this is good. So we'll say acid puke because puke is better than spit. And with that, what we can do is if we just quickly copy this, copy it, put it down here, and this is still a melee weapon attack because I don't want them to be able to sort of projectile puke. It's just a little bleh, bleh, bleh. Sounds horrible. And there is a reason for this other than being super gross. Okay, so that should do 1d4 acid damage. Okay, needs to be close, so they can choose to do either of those. But the reasoning for this is that I kind of want the prison cells to be locked in a different kind of manner rather than a key. And what I've got in mind, speaking of Alien and Aliens, is that they basically put some kind of resin or chitin to seal the doors. And the way that they open them is they have this puke that they can kind of eject from, not from their mouth, obviously from these central stomachs. And by doing that, it kind of dissolves the chitin so that the door can be opened. It makes it feel a little stranger. It makes it feel more alien. So this is the servitor larva. So what we can do here is we can get rid of all of this. Lots of very nice information on these here because wow, there is indeed a lot of information on infernal hierarchy. We can change the name of this to Servitor Larvae. And let's just put some quick notes here, as we said. The lowest of the servitors of the idiot god. They can is the word evolve, transform, mutate into higher they can mutate into higher servitors. And this is an interesting thing. I do like the idea that it's a balancing thing, an imbalancing thing really, that the more the characters are losing, the more sanity they lose. That energy can then turn these servitors into more powerful forms. So the weaker the characters get, the stronger uh, the the servitors get. What we can also do is the other way around though. So if the characters are clever and manage to sort of dull the mind of the idiot god, the servitors become weaker too. Yeah. When the idiot god feeds on sanity. Cool. Okay. They are like upright fleshy maggots. They have a central maw in their, I suppose, chest. Yeah, chest. And we'll do the classic lamprey like. By that I mean circular in shape. And I kind of like, as I say, the maw is surrounded encircled with boneless pudgy fingers, which can hold their victims in this deadly kiss. Nice. And then on top of all of that, they can puke acid, which dissolves their resin like secretions. So yeah, so they secrete. Not sure if that's the word. Secrete a resin like substance, which can harden to a chitin like chitin like. I don't want to use the word substance again. Boo, 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 boo. What are we looking for here? I suppose material, really. So there we go. We have got our first quite horrific creatures, and because we're playing Shadowdark, because we're playing sort of old school, we kind of want them to be more frightening and terrifying than, you know, dangerous physically, really. Very, very nice like that. So we've created that. We come to the story now, and we can basically call these. In fact, I think it's the overview, really. Boom, 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 boom. So what we can do is we can put this button here. Boom. There we go. So what's nice about Fancy Grounds is that these buttons here with the silver dot in, you can move around and you can put the information, so I don't need to retype that out again. And if I'm coming down here now, I can click on this and it opens this up, and we've got access to that information now from there. Perfect. So that is the first form of this, and because we sort of yesterday was talking about the 666, 6 levels, 6 areas, 6 rooms, maybe 6 encounters, whatever. I think there should be 6 forms of these servitors. So what we will do next is decide on those. So we've got the 1. If we copy this, we'll just put, oops, that is not good. That is not what I intended to do. There we go. So we cut and paste that. I think it's probably because we copied it from there. Servitor. Servitor V2. Oops. So this should work now. So we can design these as we go along, but this is just a reminder for us. So we have these other servitor sort of stages from the lava upwards. This one being like the mastermind or whatever. But what other things populate the dungeon? So we want other adventurers that have been lured and escaped. We mentioned that before. So let's just put this down here. Who and what else populates the halls? This is a good question. This is a very good question. So the first thing that we do know is we've got the servitors. Then other crawlers. Obviously, we can have vermin. We can have oozes. I was thinking of just things that just sort of naturally are in these kind of places over time. And then we can have manifestations, I suppose is the word that we're doing. Manifestations of the mind of the idiot god. Obviously, we can have constructs. We can have hazards. And we can have traps. With the idea that the halls of the idiot god are designed to break the minds, there needs to be terrifying things that can manifest. And we can have obviously undead as well. Previous victims. So that's giving us a fair amount of ideas of other creatures that we could make, use, and populate this dungeon. Okay, so I think this is where we're going to leave this one. We have created our very first creature. One of the first things that the players, the characters, will interact with these terrifying servitor larvae with lamprey central mouths, these fingers that surround their chests, and the ability to puke acid. We'll see what the creative bugs come up with next. I think with our next video, what we'll do is we'll actually start taking a little bit more look at the lowest, the deepest part of the dungeon, the level 6, and this will be sort of the prison cells where those that have been drugged that are to be released into the halls of the idiot god are kept. So thank you very much for watching along. I hope you like the design of that creature. I hope it's as disturbing as it's disturbed me. And for now, I'm going to say goodbye. Take care, and adventurers, don't forget to keep those torches lit.